From 49 straight losses in a row to a World Cup hat-trick in just 11 minutes, these are 10 rugby records that will never be broken. Let's start off with one of the most insane records in international rugby that is nearly impossible to overcome. If you've never heard of Simon Culhane, you might be shocked to hear he holds the record for most points by any player in an international rugby match. Culhane was New Zealand's backup fly half heading into the 1995 Rugby World Cup, sitting on the bench for the first 2 games before starting against Japan. He scored a whopping 45 points, mainly thanks to his New Zealand team scoring a record-breaking 21 tries, 20 of which he converted. Today, international rugby does not see these types of scorelines anymore, so it's pretty much impossible for any single player to break this record. Charlie Hodgson came closest with 44 points in 2001. Rugby is one of the most popular sports down under, but it will still shock you just how many people attended a July 2000 Test match between New Zealand and Australia. Stadium Australia was hosting the first game of the 2000s Tri-Series, with Australia hosting New Zealand. It was a star-studded matchup featuring rugby legends like Jonah Lomu, Justin Marshall, and John Eales. 109,874 fans packed into the stadium to watch the epic battle. But Aussie fans were left slightly disappointed as New Zealand pulled out the narrow victory 39-35. Today, it's pretty much impossible to get stadiums that big while maintaining safety. Who knows, maybe one day we'll see a higher attendance than this test match. There have been few teams as dominant in international rugby as 2000's New Zealand were for around a decade. At the time, they were led by arguably the greatest captain in rugby history, Richie McCaw. The team and McCaw set plenty of records during this time, but there's one that stands out from the rest. No player in the entire history of international rugby has more wins as a player than Richie McCaw. In total, McCaw has a whopping 131 wins, one of only 7 players to have a triple-digit wins in international rugby. That is a true testament to the success McCaw bred in the New Zealand team. If you think this record is ever going to be broken, just remember that none of the guys in the top 15 are active players. The likelihood of seeing another period of dominance like the All Blacks had is so minuscule, so McCaw's record is certainly safe for the time being. That complete dominance from New Zealand also helped one player rack up a very impressive record of his own. Unless you are a die-hard New Zealand or Crusaders fan, you probably haven't heard of Wyatt Crockett. Well, the former international prop made 71 appearances for his country and holds arguably the most unbreakable record on this entire list. During that time, Crockett went 49 matches for his country without a single loss. That's right, 49 straight games that Wyatt Crockett played for his country where he didn't lose. The record also included a Rugby World Cup triumph and has lasted more than 4 years. If you want to know how unbreakable this record is, no player in international rugby history has gone more than 30 games unbeaten, so it's a record that's not going anywhere anytime soon. The Rugby World Cup can produce some spectacular rugby, as well as break plenty of records. That includes the fastest World Cup hat-trick. It's incredibly difficult to score a try at the highest level, while millions of people from around the world are all watching you. So it's gonna shock you how easily South African scrum half Cobus Reinach made scoring look. At the 2019 tournament, Reinach played for his country against Canada in the group stage. He was unbelievable and absolutely impossible to stop. His hat-trick came in just 11 minutes, shattering the previous record set by Chris Latham of 25 minutes. Reinach would go on to win the Rugby World Cup with the Springboks, so it was an all-round spectacular tournament for the scrum half, and one he will never forget. There are some records that rugby players hold that they themselves wish would be broken. Records that you really don't want your name attached to. Former Italian captain Sergio Parisi might be a legend of the sport, but he also has probably the most unwanted record in all of international rugby. Parisi has the record for the most losses in an international career. Parisi was a warrior for Italy, and it led to him playing an insane 142 test matches for his country. But the record that Parisi despises is that he lost 106 of those games, making himself the only player to reach a century of losses in an international career. It's a shame because Parisi is an international hero. but I guess he's stuck with this cursed record. Parisi certainly isn't the only international rugby player with a horrible international record. Joe Marler is famously known for his off-the-field antics and some questionable hairstyles over the years, but he also holds one of the worst international records in the history of the game. Despite appearing for England 92 times, Marler is still yet to score a single point for his country. That's right, in a 12-year international career, he has not crossed the try line once. Not only is Marler's record unwanted, it's pretty much impossible to break. Marler doesn't have long left in his international career, and I'm sure he'll be desperate to remove his name off the list of players with the most caps who haven't scored a try for England. It's not just international rugby that has unbelievable records. Premiership rugby has plenty of those, and that includes the unbreakable record for most career points in the competition. That record's held by quite an unknown player, former Sale and Saracens fly half Charlie Hodgson. Hodgson played in the Premiership for an impressive 16 years, winning multiple titles in that time. He racked up 2,625 points, with him and Andy Goode being the only players in the competition's history with more than 2,000. Hodgson didn't get many chances with England, which led to him playing a stupidly high number of games for his club. George Ford is currently the highest scoring active player, but he's more than 900 points off Hodgson's record. The Champions Cup is the top domestic trophy for European clubs. There are plenty of teams with a great track record in the tournament, which means there are plenty of successful players. But there is one player who stands out as the most successful by far. Legendary Frenchman Friedrich Michalak won a record 6 Champions Cup titles across his storied career. Having made his debut for Toulouse in 1998, he won the Champions Cup 3 times. Later in his career, Michalak was part of the legendary Toulouse team that won 3 Champions Cup titles in a row. He was playing alongside legends like Johnny Wilkinson, Brian Habana, and Carl Heyman. However, there is one man getting close to this record, with Sean Healy having the chance to win his 5th title in the 2024 battle. While the competition has produced plenty of incredible performers, there is only one man who stands all by himself with the most points. When you see the margin of this record, you'll understand why he makes the list. Ronan O'Gara is the Munster legend and on his way to winning the trophy 2 times. O'Gara racked up an incredible 1,365 points across his career. Owen Farrell is second on this list, and he is not even on 900 points. This record shows just how incredible of a career O'Gara had, and how difficult it will be for anyone to replicate his longevity. But what do you think is the most unbreakable record in rugby history? Put your thoughts in the comments down below, and while you're down there, hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.